Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the football betting series here on YouTube UEFA edition. Throughout the series so far, our UEFA record stands at 33 wins with 11 losses and 4 pushes, and a total UEFA profit of £295.35. As we reach the latter stages of the competitions, we're now in the quarter-finals, and I'm hoping to add a couple more wins to that column on the left there. One quick disclaimer before we start, today's episode is going to feature 3 picks. However, I am taking more picks across the midweek. However, because I'm going to the Ipswich Town versus Bournemouth game, 2 days of my week have just disappeared like that. All of my picks in, but I'm going to cover them at the end of today's video and leave a pinned comment down below. If you think I'm talking some sense in today's video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. Without further ado, let's get into it. Our first pick sees Bayern Munich playing Inter Milan, and Bayern Munich, they cruised past Leverkusen in their last round. A Musiala goal and a Kane brace got the Bavarians off to a great start in the first leg with a 3-0 win. Then, in the return leg, Kane bagged another goal and Davies added one more for a 2-0 away win and a 5-0 win on aggregate. In terms of form, Bayern Munich are unbeaten in the knockout stages so far. They're very much growing into the competition following a 12th place finish in the league phase with an overall record of 5 wins, 0 draws and 3 defeats to their name. They hosted Inter Milan side who got the better of Feyenoord in the previous rounds of the competition. Thuram and Martinez opened the first leg with a 2-0 win in Rotterdam, before Inter Milan picked up a 2-1 win in Milan for a 4-1 aggregate win overall. In terms of form, it's now 4 wins in a row in the Champions League for Inter Milan. They finished 4th place in the league phase of the competition with an overall record of 6 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat to their name. When we take a look at the head-to-head records, the last encounter between these sides came in November of 2022 in the Champions League group stage. Bayern Munich bested Inter in both the home and away legs, both by a 2-0 scoreline. Bayern Munich came out on top in every major win predictor statistic, averaging 58% possession to Inter Milan's 42, averaging 22 shots compared to Inter Milan's 4.5, and an XG differential of 2.02 for Bayern Munich to Inter Milan's 0.74. My prediction for today's game is that the first leg of a quarter-final tie is normally filled with trepidation and caution, as both sides set off on the right foot, trying not to lose the tie instead of going all out in the first half of the first leg, and I think that leads to a bit of a slower game and a bit of a stalemate here. For that reason, I'm going to be taking under 2.5 goals. Bayern Munich have seen under 2.5 goals in 2 of their last 4 Champions League knockout games. Bayern Munich have seen under 2.5 goals in 2 of the 3 games against the Seed 1 or Seed 2 opposition. The 1-0 win against PSG and the 1-0 win against Benfica. The only time that it's let us down was the 4-1 result against Barcelona, which does buck the trend somewhat. Inter Milan, they've seen under 2.5 goals in both of the Feyenoord games and also 6 of the last 7 Champions League matches, as well as 7 of the 8 league phase matches as well. So there's a lot of tight matches in there for the Nerazzurri. Additionally, taking a look at the head-to-head record, both of the 2 most recent encounters saw the game finish 2-0. So with all of that taken into account, I'm going to back under 2.5 goals for a half stake here in the first bet of today's episode. Our second selection in today's episode sees Arsenal playing host to Real Madrid. And Arsenal, they made quick work of their round of 16 opposition PSV. The tie was all but ended in the first leg with Arsenal's 7-1 win on the road, with PSV's only contribution coming from the penalty spot in that game. Then, in the second leg, the Gunners were able to take their foot off the pedal somewhat. They drew 2-2 at the Emirates for a 9-3 win on aggregate, which saw the North London side sail into the quarter-final stage. In terms of form, that does mean that Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 6 Champions League games, following what was a really good showing in the league phase, where they finished 3rd overall with a record of 6 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat to their name. They host a Real Madrid side who scraped past their crosstown rivals Atletico Madrid in the previous round. Real Madrid won 2-1 at the Bernabeu thanks to a 4th-minute goal from Rodrigo and a Brahim Diaz goal in the second half to retake the lead following Alvarez's equaliser. Then, in the second leg, Conor Gallagher got the game off to a fast start, scoring in the very first minute to level the tie up 2-2. And 2-2 it would remain for the longest of time before Vinicius Jr. was handed an opportunity to put Los Blancos ahead once more from the penalty spot, but he failed to hit the target in the 70th minute of the second leg. The tie would then end 2-2 after 180 minutes, and there were no goals in the extra time period either, so the round of 16 matchup would be settled with a penalty shootout. Mbappe, Bellingham, Valverde and Rudiger scored their spot kicks to put Real Madrid through to the next round with a 4-2 win on penalties. In terms of form, Real Madrid's loss in their most recent game did bring an end to a 6-game winning streak. Madrid have seemed to have found their stride following what was a pretty pedestrian start in the Champions League by their standards. They finished the league phase in 12th place with 5 wins, 0 draws and 3 defeats. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, it's almost been 20 years since these sides last met in a competitive setting. The 2006 round of 16 saw Arsenal win the first leg in Madrid by 1-0 thanks to Thierry Henry, and then the second leg finished 0-0 at the Emirates thanks to some goalkeeping heroics from Lens Yeaman. Arsenal progressed through to the round and all the way to the final, only to lose in the final to Barcelona. My prediction for today's game is that I'm not sure how much stock we can put into the head-to-head record, given that this was the best part of 2 decades ago. In this year's competition, however, Real Madrid have already taken out Manchester City and Atletico Madrid, and Los Blancos normally find a way of getting through on a 2-legged round. That's all going to start with not losing in London in the first leg, to then take the tie to Madrid to finish the Gunners off. I think Real Madrid are going to come through this quarter-final matchup, and I'm going to back them to qualify for a full stake here in bet number 2. Our third and final game that we're covering in today's episode takes place in the Europa League, and it sees Spurs playing host to Frankfurt. Spurs fans were given a real scare in as they lost the first leg of their round of 16 match away in Alkmaar. Bergval's own goal was the only deciding factor in the match, in which, taking a look at the numbers, Spurs were thoroughly outclassed. However, the second leg was a mirror image, Spurs dominating the tie on every major win predictor statistic, winning by 3-1 in the end, with a James Maddison goal and a brace from Wilson Odobert, which sealed a 3-2 win on aggregate. In terms of form, this does mean that Spurs have won 3 of their last 4 Europa League matches, and they finished off the league stage in 4th place, with an overall record of 5 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat to their name. They're one of the strongest sides at this level of UEFA competition, of that there is little doubt. However, they have been very inconsistent this season. They host a Frankfurt side who got the better of a rather lacklustre Ajax team in the previous round. Frankfurt won the first leg 2-1, and then the second leg 4-1 for a 6-2 aggregate win in convincing style. Frankfurt have shown that whilst they may have lost Marmush in the January transfer window, they are still able to get goals from the rest of the boys on their team, with 5 different goal contributions coming from the 6 goals scored in the round of 16 tie. In terms of form, as with Spurs before them, Frankfurt have also won 3 of their last 4 Europa League matches. This follows a successful league phase in which they finished 5th place overall, with a record of 5 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat to their name. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the last time these sides faced off was in the 22-23 group stages of the Champions League. A 0-0 draw in Frankfurt was followed up by a 3-2 win for Spurs in London, with Son and Kane linking up to earn the result. That win for Spurs actually saw them finish top of Group D ahead of the Germans by just a single point. My prediction for today's game is that both Spurs and Frankfurt have strong attacking talent in their sides, but both sides have also struggled to put together consistent runs of forms, mainly due to their ability to keep clean sheets. With all of this in mind, I think we're going to see a few mistakes in this one, and I like the chance of seeing goals. Spurs have seen over 2.5 goals in 3 of their last 4 Europa League matches, and in 2 of their last 3 home games in this competition as well. Whereas Frankfurt, they've seen over 2.5 goals in 4 of their last 6 Europa League games, and in 3 of their 4 away matches in this competition as well. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, only one of the last 2 head-to-head encounters have seen over 2.5 goals, but the 0-0 scoreline saw a combined 23 shots and an XG of 2.46. So with all of this taken into account, I'm going to back over 2.5 goals for a full stake here in bet number 3. So there we have it, 3 picks in today's episode video, but I have more picks overall, so please check out the pinned comment down below, and I'm going to run through all of my picks for this week's Champions League action. Starting off with Arsenal versus Real Madrid, we're going to be taking Real Madrid to qualify at odds of 1.71, a £40 full stake to return £28.40. Also on the Tuesday, Bayern Munich play Inter Milan. I'm taking under 2.5 goals in this one. Odds are close to even money for a half stake of £20 to return £19.60. The final pick in the Champions League for this week, which wasn't featured in today's video, Barcelona versus Borussia Dortmund. We're going to back Barcelona to pick up the win at odds of 1.38, a £40 full stake to return £15.20. Moving over to the Europa League now, we have Rangers versus Athletic Bilbao. I'm taking both teams to score for a half stake, but at the time of recording the odds aren't released, so I'll be sure to update the pinned comment down below. I'm going to be backing that result for a half stake at any rate. Also in the Europa League, we have Spurs versus Frankfurt. Over 2.5 goals, odds of 1.56, a £40 full stake to return £22.40. And finishing up today's picks, we have a double. I'm going to be backing both Chelsea to beat Molde and Real Betis to pick up a win in Poland as well. I'm going to have that in a double on the sportsbook for a full stake. But at the time of recording, the odds aren't live yet. I'm expecting this to come in at anywhere between 1.5 and 1.75. So please check the odds before you make the bet yourself. And as always, I will update the pinned comment down in the section below the video. So across the midweek, we're going to be risking £200 to hopefully pick up at least £85.60. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to tune into the next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. And as always, have yourself a lovely day.